Here. Ryan.
Here.
Rich.
Here.
There.
Here.
Let the record show that Dan had some surgery and he's not cleared by the doctor. That was maybe on dial-up, I didn't.
Here.
Here,
Ryan.
okay.
Here. Rich. Here.
No, you didn't tell me to go, so
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob.
that's okay. We're good now.
Is Dan on?
No.
No, okay. All right. Public session. Anybody wishing to speak with regard to anything on the agenda? Anybody? Hearing, seeing none, we'll move on. District building report, we'll jump right into that. Nick, you got anything? Joe? I see you brought a helper with you tonight?
On the building, I don't have any notes tonight because I brought my notebook, so.
There you go.
As you know, Ed's here for the group, and he's gonna do it. Proposal for you guys.
Maybe we've been trying to track this as it's going and then get a good feel for it. I know you've got the make the line still.
Yeah.
You want to give us a rundown of where you are with it?
Sure. We've met several times now with the facilities committee at Lionsville, kind of narrowing down kind of the what and the components of the potential capital project, trying to narrow down the scope. At our last meeting on November 4th, we came up with an additional list of items that may or may not want to be included in the capital project. It was our charge over the last month to essentially estimate what those costs were going to be, and that's the information you have in front of you. There's items ADD 1 through ADD 12. Some of these may or may not be or become components of the capital project, but we wanted to go ahead and put some numbers on those so that the district commissioners can make a decision about what constitutes the entire capital project scope and what things we may or may not elect to do. So given that information right now, the decision rests with the commissioners. And if there's any questions on any of the items on the list, I'm happy to go through each of those individually if you guys want. I know some of you had an opportunity to look at some of these things in advance, so.
It doesn't appear that any of them were required by code. Am I accurate there? So there's none that we should be, there's none that we could be debating that there's no debate over.
No, these are all basically elective at this point. There's none of them that would have to be done if the project was to move forward with whatever capacity.
Joe, anything to add?
No, we've been pounding this for, well, pretty hard the last 8 months, let's say. And we scrapped a few things, we put other things in. With you guys last month or the month before, looking for maybe like the sprinklers and that kind of thing, make sure we didn't miss anything. I know we talked about the floor grates again, the epoxy again. We talked about a whole lot of things that Ed did add again this month, so you guys could get an eye on it. So, I mean, if we look at this, I think, this is only my opinion, we digest it for this month. Maybe as a small group, we could go back with the commissioners, dissect this to narrow it down to really where we want it, and then shoot for, maybe February where we go to the referendum.
To be ready, get ready for the referendum.
I think this, between everybody involved, may just have to look through this list again and say, do we want this or can we take it out? Do we want this or take it out?
I mean, there's something, we've been developing this plan right along, and here, and I'm not complaining at all, but we've asked to come back, take one more look at it. We just added 1.4 mil.
Well,
is there anything else we're missing?
Oh, no, what I'm thinking is this sheet right here that we have now that added that 1.4 or so it was like, not even that, it was like 800,000 or something.
Yeah, the additional scope.
Wait a second. I thought all the things that were shaded in blue on the spreadsheet were, am I looking at the wrong sheet? The sheet that's in front of you, anything that's shaded in blue on the bottom is one of the additions, right?
So the subtotal of additional scope Rich, just for the record, is $703,450. That's the hard
That's the sheet
construction
there.
cost. Yeah, that's the green highlighted sheet.
It's right up there,
Three
Rich.
line.
No, straight, right in front of you.
Oh, that one.
I'm looking on the screen.
No, that's okay.
Just look at this.
And then the costs, obviously that cost gets escalated, beyond the base cost with construction contingency, design contingency, escalation, and incidentals.
So what's different from this than the stuff shaded in blue on the bottom of this? So that stuff, that says additional scope as of November 4th.
Yep.
This is additional scope as of November 4th.
Same.
We have two different numbers.
This feeds into this. This is 703,450. This is 703,450. If you look at the second red, it's right. It's hard.
All right.
It's under the 1.1.
All right.
Right. So the 1.1 plus the 703,450
Now I'm reading it
is the
right.
additional scope.
Okay. I was reading the total in the wrong column. That's the problem. Okay. Any commissioners have any questions up front before the fire department goes back and contemplates this?
No, I think that our side is good with it. I think we just need to get as a group and talk about it. You know what I mean?
There was one, I'll put it on the record right now, put it out there for thought, is that we just did an extensive future needs and planning study. And one of the things that we asked the chiefs to look at as part of that future needs and planning study was did they foresee any need for paid staff? And when we asked them that, my presumption was that paid staff would be people that would be working during the day. And they came back and said, no, they didn't see any need for anything like that. That was an answer in that study. And that, you know, almost a third of $300,000 for bunk rooms is. Now we,
Right, and
that's what we got to think about.
and that's what I understand, and that's why I think as
We got to contemplate.
a group, as the commissioners, a few of our guys with Ed, we can maybe,
There may be good reason out there for it. I'm not disputing it. I'm not saying it's a crappy idea. I'm just, it's like, whoa, that jumped out at me because I thought we had kind of put that to bed when we approved the future needs plan.
well, we did the same thing with the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
We had that in there 3 years ago and then took it out. And then you guys came back and said, maybe we should look at it. So I mean, between those two items right there,
They're the big ticket items in this
Right.
jump. If you got 989,000, $3,000. Keep it the wrong number. $703,000 jump.
so you're almost
And
$500,000 on two things.
500.
You're 460
Almost 560 of it. Almost 560 of it is just those two items.
447 in a right.
So.
So that's why I'm just saying, Rich, I think, you know, we'll have a good handle on this. We have that smaller group and I think we can narrow those numbers where we need to.
Okay.
Because I know Sean was looking at like 2.1 or something, right? 2 million, they're around that 2 million mark, 2.1.
I was at 1.5, but
That-
long range planning of the 1.5. But it was subject to change.
Change,
Yeah,
yeah.
we knew it was something.
I mean, in the discussions that we had relative to both those items, it was, you know, what would this look like if we did it? And then subsequent to that was, what would this potentially cost? You know, not necessarily saying this is something that we want to do, just what are the parameters by which this could or would happen? And it might not be a now thing, it might not be a 10-year thing, it might be a 25-year thing, who knows? But there's at least a cost there associated with what we feel that would look like.
My OCD brain keeps taking me to the right-hand column, thinking that's going forward. So I keep adding up the year 5 totals in my head.
Red.
I gotta move like.
Red is the now cost.
Again, right.
If they go to a bunk room, would that change the occupancy where it would trigger like a sprinkler requirement or something? We start considering that we're having people sleep there on a more permanent basis. Would that change like the?
I don't think it would, Brian. I think well, I shouldn't say that. If it gets to a point where you're into a level 1 alteration, which is more than 50% of the entire floor area, which we're not quite there.
Right.
With the additional bunk room, taking that square footage, it wasn't a lot of square footage, it was about 650 square feet for that. We'd have to study it to make sure exactly. I don't know that one would necessarily trigger it.
Was that, I don't, again, my brain, I don't remember it on the last set of plans. Was that an addition, or is that going to be chunked out of the space that exists?
That wouldn't necessarily have to be an addition. We looked at a couple different options, trying to get it inside the building, just not the right amount of square footage in the right spot to do it. We looked at it in the, it's called the ready room out back, where the fitness center used to be, and so on and so forth. The issue there is there's no natural light. There's no way to get windows into it, and you have to have a window in that. So that's kind of why that was the discussion, and then Adara at my office said, well, what if we stuck it out here? And when we started to dig into it, it's like, wow, that's definitely possible.
So as I recall, some discussion that I had heard about it, might have been the last meeting, it's going to go out in the area that's now like considered the barbecue pit is.
No,
Whatever the
parking.
chief's parking spot is
Chief's
right
parking.
outside there. Yeah, we would have to
Oh,
do some.
on the lower level.
On the lower level.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have to do some excavation into the side of the hill there, where it ramps up inside to make it happen, but it would work there.
Okay. Well, I think we need to, Chris, you got any questions on it? Good. You know, Sean, you're the one who pulled the, you see any questions here that are jumping out at you?
No, I really was waiting on these numbers to plug them into the long range plan.
Yeah, and I'd like to get us moving on this.
Yeah, I was gonna, Terry, if we, when we bond this, what do you think the maximum term is that we could push this out to? 20 years?
It's 15 to 20, depending upon what we call it. It's an improvement to a building, so
Let's call whatever it is for the 20 years.
20 years.
Wait, don't record that.
Yeah, certainly not repairs and up, it is upgrades, but it's a renovation.
There's a little known codicil to the local finance squad. That, you know, if you can demonstrate that something is kind of outside of the parameters that are, which is difficult to do with a fire engine, but easier to do with, say, a building, that you can kind of finesse that a little bit. It really comes down to the district, the bank, the term of the bond.
And Terry probably knows more about the side. From my experience working with public municipal entities, if it's more of a renovation, in terms typically 15, if you end up in more of an addition situation, that capital construction usually costs it to 20, they allow you to take a longer term.
So that's what I was thinking. If we went the higher price, 20, we stay with without the additional scope, we could do the 15. But would the addition qualify to put it to the 20 years?
Different banks are going to look at it a little differently. They're going to conventionally finance it. It would be, they're going to look at it from a square footage perspective as a portion of the whole. And I don't know that you would get to the point where, and again, different lenders are going to have different parameters as to what they'll qualify and how long the term will be. It really comes down to, what the term sheet's going to look like and what they're going to say.
Okay.
Bob, you've done this before. Anything we're missing from your perspective?
No, I think there were a couple late add-ons, and that was the add-on 11 and 12, which the three of us spoke a little bit about the glazing, the windows, because now is going to be the time that we're going to want to upgrade some of these windows, especially at the cost you see here. It's very beneficial for us to do that now rather than try and do it later on 10 years down the road. Add that in now because some of those windows they're nearing their
Yeah,
age.
there's 30 and
Right, they're 80 vintage. So that was really the only other add-on. And just keep it in mind with what Sean had talked about, the long-range planning, because several items in this additional scope were at the recommendation from the long-range plan, and they are, I mean, I would consider them to be priority items, like the grates and the engine room and safety issues. Taking a look at the Plimo vent at this point now, upgrading it. Now's the time to do it, not really to wait for that fan to go. That's a pretty expensive fan. So, yeah, I mean, you might be able to cut out of there if the committee sees fit, maybe, upwards to 400,000 if you take the bunk room out in the sprinklers, if that would take a big chunk out of that. But a lot of that other stuff was being planned.
Disagree, okay? I'm gonna disagree with Bob, probably the first time in my life. The sprinkler thing's a big deal when you consider the mission of your district. And it's more,
Right.
It's more part of the fabric of what you do and what you try and teach and educate that a capital.
Yeah, we shouldn't be telling other people that they should be putting sprinklers in and then saying, why, that's way too expensive. We can't do that.
We do it every month at a time.
Every planning board, we send people there, tell them to put sprinklers in it. It just makes sense. I don't think you're gonna hear much of an argument for that. I think one of the things that's important though, looking this stuff over, is that we tend to think of the work that we had done in the lower level as done, downstairs is done. No, you just looking at this list of the $703,000 worth of stuff that we're pending, better than 130 or 140 of that, not counting whatever the sprinklers cost down there, is going to be lower level. 100 grand just on the floor. 100 grand on the floor. Got new drains going in at 6,700. Actually a couple of Flacco upgrades, 25 grand. So I mean, and then whatever the sprinklers that we're spending for the lower level. So there's still a lot of money to be sunk into the lower level of the building. So I think I guess my point is that at some point in the near future, we're all the board, the members of both companies are going to have to be selling this to the public, saying, hey, this is why we need you to come out and vote positively on this bond. And I don't want people thinking that what we're doing is renovating a meeting room. I think that's going to be one of the fears that we're going to have to overcome. Because I think we'll overcome that fear. Slowly with that.
Yeah, and Rich, just to that point, almost everything on this list, except for the bunk room, had been on the list.
Yeah,
That's true.
So that's the takeaway. It was all there. It's just at certain points it got taken off, put back on. The bunk room was really the only thing.
And the other thing that I don't know if we missed it or if we didn't think about it. We talked about all the rooftop units, but we never talked about the radiant heat we had downstairs, because that is probably 25 years old or in that area. I can't even remember how, it might be more than 25. That two-liter radiant heat we had down there. Because I can't ever remember any maintenance done on them, like a fan or that's been bad. But I mean, that's just something to throw out there, because I'm not saying that we need to do anything with it. But those fans and things like that are probably, maybe you can't even get those parts anymore.
What was that system, the radiant system installed? The heating center.
The tubular heat was like, I think at least 25 years ago. Because I think Shermer's did that, and they were still in business at the time. And they're out of business 13 years, I think now.
Anything else?
Just to put a finer point on the sprinkler system, you'll notice there's two numbers there. There's a $3,000 number for ceiling removal, or 3,000 square foot number for ceiling removals, and a 12,800 square foot number for the installation of the fire sprinkler. So 12,800 is the total building square footage. The 3,000 is just the additional ceilings that would have to come down beyond the already renovated areas. So just to kind of elucidate on that a little bit.
Talking like the ready room.
Well, so basically what I'm saying is that there's no time, like if you're gonna do all this other renovation work,
Do it now.
that's the time to do the sprinkler system, because you're only taking out an additional 3,000 square feet of ceiling as opposed to.
Yeah, I don't see us ever putting sprinklers in that building other than right now.
Right. That's
Unless 40 years from now, they're looking at another renovation of it.
Yeah. And with
I'll be dead.
with reference to that sprinkler too, we only have a 2-inch water main coming in that building right now, and it's probably required 4 to 6 inches. I mean, that would be something
At least
to,
a 4-inch riser, yeah. I'm not gonna design it here.
no, but I'm just I don't know if you guys were.
And
aware of that.
that would open up the option, if you bring up higher gas lines, that would open up the option for 2.5 discharge in the engine bay, so that, apparatus comes back, it doesn't have to sit in an outside hydrant to refill. It's on a cold night, they can refill right in the bay. It just opens up a lot of options. It's a good tool for a fire department. No other questions?
The only thing I would have is, I see have further evaluation from Simplex coming for the fire alarm system. To evaluate duct detectors. Should we, how, should we get like a quote from them or something, or like a better estimate? If, some of the buildings fully sprinkled, because I might change how much detection you got to put in. I guess the other thing is what kind of variable, thousands more for duct detectors or?
Well, I mean, you really don't need a duct detector when you go through a fire rated partition, right? So you wouldn't necessarily have to do duct detection, but for the spaces where you're going through a firewall. I think there would only be 1 or 2 locations.
So it wouldn't really change much.
The duct detector and wiring it back is less than $500 a location usually. Unless there's something really specialized going on, but yeah, and I think, well, one of the things that we had planned with the members room renovation was to replace the ductwork. Once that ceiling comes down, all that ductwork is kind of laying all over the place up there, would be replaced in and of itself. So any kind of in-duct detection that we need to do would necessarily be being installed in new equipment.
So basically, financially, the overall is really negligible given the size of the project.
I would say so.
Thanks.
Questions? Anybody? Comments? Ed, thank you for coming out tonight.
My pleasure.
Good information, solid information, and we'll put something scheduled to,
Right after the holidays, whatever, we'll get together.
if you want to quickly do before the January meeting.
Right, exactly.
Right, very good, thank you.
Not bad. Do you need to stick around or you want to go home with my kid?
You're welcome to, I mean, don't need you to. I don't want any- Anybody got any questions they need to ask Ed?
Happy to stick around for the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing everybody.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
All right, DFD President's Report. I don't see Steve Hyden working back anywhere. We do have 4 building requests, building use requests for the Bridgeville for upcoming, and actually 1 passed already, but it was a something happened. The police departments had some training scheduled. It was all the police, a bunch of local police departments, about 30 cops up with the exact training function was. And at the last minute, wherever it was supposed to be, got canceled on them. They lost their site. So we let them come in here. That was on December 2nd. So we're going back and obviously the room unit was cleaned up with afterwards. No problem. They brought in food, no alcohol involved. Jeff Steer was responsible for the whole thing. So that was one of them. Another one is one that I won't be voting on because I wrote the request. January 3rd, 4th for an I-400 class here. Again, this was one that was tentatively scheduled at another site, and then there was problems with that. So I was called and asked if I could. I'm not an instructor. I'm an instructor. All right, but I am an instructor, I guess. Not that I'm going to be doing much teaching, but they knew I was on the instructor cadre, so they said, "Hey, can we get your firehouse?" So that's in for January 3rd, 4th. Again, at daytime, 0800 to 1700 use. January 7th, which is the week following right after that. That's a Saturday for Mr. Hannigan to come in and conduct commissioner training. And I believe, Bob, I saw a thing that we got a slot or two as a result of.
Yes.
Yeah, so as a result of letting we use the facility.
Absolutely.
So that's on the docket.
As many slots as you want.
And then finally, there's a request for February 15, an evening request, February 15th. So that's going to be coordinated with, what day of the week is the 15th? February 15th.
Wednesday.
Was it? Wednesday? So it doesn't interfere with drills or anything here, or meetings. So be February 15 for county to conduct a radio committee meeting here. County Bureau of Public Safety to conduct our quarterly radio committee. Someone like to make a motion on that? Motion made.
Second.
Any seconded? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And show me as an abstention, please. Bob.
Yes.
Thank you. They're taking care. Oh, I got to sign that one. I'll sign it with Mackie afterwards. Nothing else from the DeFreesville president? So I didn't see it in the Dropbox. You get my Dropbox back to the right page nowadays.
Nothing else from DFD.
See what else is out there. Whitesville Fire Department President's Report. There you are. So I thought I saw you.
I'm here. I have really nothing to report, but I did just want to say that we held our annual elections last week. The results were posted on Facebook. So congratulations to all of our officers, line officers, executive officers.
We're aware of the results. Thank you. Can you, for the record, ask your secretary?
Yes,
Pen
I actually talked with Bob about that.
pen and notes so that we've got, okay, good.
They're going to get it to us before the organizational meeting.
Yeah. We just gotta have it for the organizational meeting.
Definitely.
It's, I don't want to call it a mere formality. It's an important formality. So I want to make sure that gets done. Any questions for Whitesville president?
Congrats.
Vice President, by the way.
The acting president? All right, thank you. Prior month's minutes. Got a chance to Dropbox or read them over. You got them on paper in front of you. Anybody see any corrections, concerns, comments? Consider a motion to approve. Motion by Brian, second by Nick. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Got minutes. Joe, we were talking about the treasurer's report before the meeting, and we noticed it's getting thicker and thicker. And we're wondering.
That's because with each passing month, there's more bills we pay. and
What's in there that we're supposed to be looking deeper at? I'll get it.
You don't want to look.
I'm teasing. Go ahead with the treasurer's report.
Here comes the bank reconciliation for you to review and then sign off on.
Thank you.
And let's see, as of November 30th, the money market account has a reconciled balance of $790,329. It's earned $222 worth of interest. The interest rate has been going up on our investments. And I did reach out to Larry at KeyBank, and he's going to get back to me. There's some other options, potential annuities, maybe, that we can invest in. Says other fire districts have done it, but I'm going to check with the attorney once I get the documentation on that, as he's scratching his forehead. Of that breakdown for the money market account, there's, for the equipment, capital reserve is $225,877. For building, $377,501. Repairs, $52,232. The checking account has a reconciled balance of $51,413. Earned $20.80 worth of interest, and for the year earned on the checking account $52.17. So this is a summary of the attached documents for the bank reconciliation and the bank statements that you have here. Okay. And then I didn't get to drill down into this. The final 3 pages is our actual expenditures to the budget. And we're pretty darn close on our expenditure. However, I have to say, due to sale of some apparatus and other things that Bob has been selling, we brought in like $90,000, which is really helping us out.
Shows we're not adding fluff anywhere. Right. Trying to hide things, play shell games with money too. Which
Yep.
Pass that down to Nick, and I'll get it at the end. Thank you. To resolution then to approve the treasurer's report. What's your questions? Resolution. Resolution second. Any questions on that? Roll call vote, please.
Chris. Aye. Brian.
Aye.
Rich.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
All right, we got a treasurer's report. We got invoices for the month. It's not even a full page. Wow. And Nick had an opportunity to look through the book to read over. Any comments on?
The only thing I got to comment on is our national grid bill. I've seen some highlights and questions for wine skills pretty high on therms. I did notice at our monthly meeting, it was quite hot in there. So I don't know if we can have Johnson Controls program the thermostats, bring them down, because it seems like it's on like 72, 73, you know, bring it down a little bit, because I don't know, half the membership was hot, half the membership was cold, and I messed with it and actually kicked the air conditioner on, so that's how warm it was in there.
Yeah, and I looked at this at home on the Dropbox, and I was thinking to myself, oh, we're using a lot less electricity in Waynesville than we are in Freesville. But then now you say that, that's just gas.
Yeah, that was gas, it's like
Yeah.
1,000, that was 1,100 therms.
That's just gas.
Yeah, I did highlight that, and JO was working in there, and it was just running and running and running, so I did go over and I tried to reprogram. And it seemed like it worked fine for like a week, and then he came in and he said, it's off again.
Notice with thermostats have, when you mess with them, they have a 4-hour reset, so then it goes back
Oh.
to, it's whatever was on there,
Okay.
so.
Is it-
Yeah, so we might need
just-
to have them.
Is it just the upstairs?
The meeting room
Right.
was, I don't know about, obviously it has to be the one where JO is.
Yeah, the other.
Okay.
And then, the other night we were there for a call and the heat was off downstairs, so I know it can't be like 4 units downstairs because they were off, so I
Okay.
turned that on the other night, it's cold in there.
We'll get a,
Well,
cer-
So,
Do we have, say, a thermostat, or is somebody uncomfortable when they're blowing up heat?
really no way there though.
yeah, I mean, we've never had a problem with that
No, we
really
never have.
over there, so
Let's start by checking out. the
Yeah,
thermostat,
we'll-
see if there's a problem.
we'll have JCI go over and check it out.
Bring the set points down, because you can always turn it off.
Yep.
It's chilly when you walk in, so.
There's always that old meme that's out there about, trust firefighters with $1.5 million ladder trucks, but we don't trust them with a $70 thermostat up the wall. So I hate like a walking cover over.
But besides that, that's all I had. I just wanted to point out of the bills.
Any other questions on the bill, anybody? Consider a resolution to pay the bills.
I'll make a resolution.
Nick, second by Brian. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Chris.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Rich.
Aye.
Aye.
Correspondence, please.
Received KeyBank FDIC insurance assets ending 11/30/2022. Received the notification for basic fire commissioner training in 2023 from Mark Butler and Terry Hannigan. Received a letter from Rich French for the 5-year commissioner's position on 11/22, request to be put on the ballot. Received a check from Post and Kill Fire Department for 9/7 repairs. See, I'm sorry, 427. Did I, I think I put 9/7 in there, so I gotta,
Watch it. Not often we catch that.
yeah, I gotta make that change. Come on, Nick, you're good.
Game minutes, so.
No, it's on the agenda. We received a check from Auctions International for $3,994. Received some correspondence from FASNY regarding a credit union that they have open to members. We received from New York State Fire Chiefs Association Company Officer Leadership Training next year. And we also received a letter from DFD Secretary regarding the results of the 2023 election.
The only thing I would ask is I looked through it, that FASNY credit union information, can we get copies of that for each station and let the chiefs
Yep.
put them up somewhere? Because actually looking over it, it's really not a bad deal. And there may be some members that could take advantage of leveraging a loan through a credit union for a new car or something like that versus going to a commercial bank or a savings bank. So,
Yep, I'll send that out. And sent was a letter sent to Manchester Fire Department by Chief Burkhart. It was a follow-up letter. I know that the board's working with the chief on that.
yeah, we gotta talk about where that is. I know we were talking about, William, you and I kind of stopped talking about it. And I thought it went away, and looking at the letter that went, I didn't realize the follow-up hadn't one. That's probably working my.
Yeah, I've been trying to follow up with the chief over there, he had some family issues. I still haven't really get a hold of him, so it's
Okay.
just, it's still gonna work out.
Okay. All work in progress. Very good. Old business, get to the next stack over here. There are 14 report. Old business. We got we sent out last month we approved the specifications for the work we've done to for utility 9 and service from the basic pickup that it is. And essentially, it's the same truck as utility 4.2, with some changes that came as a result of looking at utility 4.2 and actually a lot in part by the sort of suggestions that Jeff and the Wine and Skill Fire Police Squad made as to what they would do different. So really, those are like the only changes, is stuff that they recommended that they would do different. We put that spec out, as you know, we sent it out to 4 companies, 2 of which contacted us, one right away, the other little time before the bids were due, and said that one wasn't interested in bidding at all, non-specified reason. The other wasn't interested in bidding at all because they had too much work to cause and they couldn't take the sign that they got successful. They got too much work. So I guess that's a good position to be in if you're a businessman. But I've heard since that business likes to specialize in just police cars. They're getting away from doing anything but police cars. So that's a business decision on their part. We did get 2 bids though from Auto Solutions of New York Incorporated, which is the company that we actually work closely with to put the specification together. A quotation of $23,106.13, which included the striping. Striping was a $3,000 ticket item.
1785.
Was that all? 17?
Yep.
Okay.
You're thinking with the wrapping and
Oh,
stuff.
right.
Yep, 1785.
$1,700. So that included it. The second was from Upstate New York Plow and Truck Incorporated. That was $29,127 without the strike. So we've had a chance to look them over. Chris and I haven't really had a chance to talk about it from our perspective. But I'm very, very comfortable making a recommendation that we go with the Auto Solutions of New York Incorporated. I will add that I happened to be speaking with a chief today from a career department, a combination department in Schenectady County, and they just outfitted a truck. And I told him the price that we got from Auto Solutions. He's like, "You got to be kidding me! I paid," and he listed what he paid for very, very similar to a vehicle that they just had done, and he was kind of surprised at the great price we got. So I'll make a recommendation that we make a resolution that we approve the contract with Auto Solutions in New York for $23,106.13. Get the contract signed and get the.
Are we paying for it?
You gotta pay for it? I think you had plans, we had discussed that.
We did. I talked about the cost, but
Okay,
it was never
what's your
really
suggestion?
mentioned to me that.
We knew the expense was coming. What's your suggestions?
I would just say, so I'm gonna be off from school after this week, and then I really close. I'm gonna be off. School will be done after this week, and then I really close out the books to get the annual report done. So I would say I probably could have it pretty much done by the end of the year.
This was an anticipated cost for 23, so that everybody's clear on it. So it's not like we're gonna scrape together too money to.
And I'm not, but it would come out of like apparatus area. Well, we've done all these significant repairs to all the apparatus, chewed up that whole entire amount.
Yep.
So that's what we're really, honestly, this is the tightest I think it's ever been since I've been here. That we're gonna be right up against the budget. We're going over the budget.
Is it safe to say, and are you comfortable with, is the attorney comfortable with us saying, authorizing this to do with clearly the payment to be made, but to the fund that it's coming out of be determined at a later date based on that?
I was gonna say some sort of wording like that whatever we have available out of this year's budget could go towards that. And if need be, maybe we could go into some of the repair expenditures from next year's budget. What do you think, Terry? Like do a split?
You're not talking the reserve, you're talking
Out of general fund.
out of general fund, okay, yeah.
It's a replacement piece, so it's not really a repair.
Yeah, I know, but it's like,
It's an outfit.
right, and that's kind of like, I know we call it repairs, but anything like that falls like that.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So would that wording kind of be okay? We worded it like, okay. Then I'm good.
That's what the resolution is. Do I get a second? I'll second. Next, okay. Chris is seconding it. Any discussion? Now's the time. Everybody get a chance to look it over. Looks good. Brian, look good to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Chris.
Aye.
Brian. Rich. Nick.
That's. New business. Bob's got the Milton Cat generator maintenance agreement. What do you got, sir?
Yes, so this is our 3-year maintenance agreement with Milton Cat. There were, the increases were probably about 8 to 10% across the board, which for Wyandskill for the 3 years would be $7,857.36. That includes one battery change, and DeFreeseville's would be $85.99.14 with the battery change. We've had good success working with Milton Cat on these generators. Obviously, can't stress the importance of keeping these things in tip-top shape, and I think it's a good investment to continue with this preventive maintenance, and I would recommend that the board move forward with this contract.
Those costs are for the full 3 years, not the 9 annual.
Right, full 3 year. That's a combined 3-year cost for Wyandskill at the $78.57 and DeFreeseville $85.99.
Any questions for Bob on that? So we're ready to move forward. Somebody, Brian? By Nick, seconded by Nick. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Nick.
Aye.
Rich. Aye.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye. Bob, you also got janitorial cleaning proposals for DFW.
Yes, these are renewals, and both vendors said that they would hold the line with the costs from 2022. Presently, we're paying $122 a week at Wyandskill and $130 for DeFreeseville. The only change, the same vendor technically for Wyandskill is Derek Grandi. So for DeFreeseville, we had a relationship with M&M, and M&M had subcontracted out to Clean Master, and that's who's been doing it here since day one, and they're retiring. So
Clean Master is or
M&M.
Okay.
So Dave Blackstone from Clean Master said, yeah, we want to continue doing it. And I don't know if we would just obviously have to just make sure that they sign the contract, get us the, right. So we can go that route, right, Terry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Below the bidding threshold.
Right. So, I mean, they held the line, and I mean, they both do a good job for what we spend. We're pretty lucky overall what we spend for cleaning services.
Claims over in Wyandskill. Any questions for Bob on that? Is there a motion or a resolution to approve? Okay. Second by Chris. Any discussion on the resolution? Roll call, please.
Chris.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Rich. Nick.
Aye.
One thing I'd like to add to new business that wasn't there, I sent an email to the commissioners earlier in the month. I don't even remember what, yeah, I do remember what triggered it. But what would the rather than just throw a problem out there, that we had a problem, challenge, or whatever, I came up with a solution. And the solution actually is pretty simple. Is a number of years ago, the Board of Fire Commissioners did a drill, a department drill, where both companies were here. We did food, and we did a commissioner's drill, and we talked about all the programs that are available. We talked about some policy things that were going on. We talked at the time, there was all that new stuff on sexual harassment, and fire service had never looked at any of that stuff previously, really, and why we had to do it. I think it might be, it's been a number of years, and a couple things have happened in recent months that probably need to be addressed and probably make sure it's clear in everybody's mind. And the two that came to mind are some purchasing things and some HR things. So I think that if we were to do one of those drills, and be good winter drill, you know, can't go out and spray a lot of water in February, but you can, February's out, that gives the chiefs a chance to adjust any drill schedule that they might have to, you know, I don't know if they got plans for drills in February yet or not, but it would allow them to adjust any schedule to accommodate it. We want a regular Tuesday night, catch both companies, do some food, and I just gotta figure out exactly what topics might be best to present on. Would also be a good, presumably, we'll be getting ready to go to bid, or ready to go to vote on the referendum. So it'll be a good opportunity for everybody, both companies, to hear what's going on with the building, with sales pitch as to why we all need to support it. So I think there's a lot we can accomplish in a one night shot like that. And it's not going to be an annual thing, but I think it's every 3-4 years maybe, kind of thing. Comments, thoughts?
I think it's good. A lot of members. Understand Jones.
That's good.
All right, I'll try and put something together between now and the next month, our next meeting. You know, try to get an estimate of what it might cost to feed the crowd and some topics. I'll bounce them off you guys, see what you think. That's bold, we don't need to talk about that, or what about this? So in the meantime, if you think of something, you got that original list that I sent you. If you think of something that wasn't on that list, let's pen it down, let's pencil it down anyway. And then doesn't need any kind of vote thing. We're not doing anything with it yet, but I just want to get a chief. Either chief, do you see a problem with if we were to pick a February drill date and say, I see Danny waving around the back.
Last year, we used the third Tuesday of every month for the joint drills for the district, so I think that'd be that looks like the
Is there anything scheduled for that night?
No.
That's February 20?
That'd be the wide skills month for the drills, you have contest.
Any objections, chief? What would you like on the menu, sir?
Not famous lunch chocolate.
What's that?
Not famous lunch chocolate.
We have a guy that excels, we have a guy that excels in tomato sandwiches.
No, we'll want that either.
It's an inside joke. It's an inside joke. Oh, my God. All right, so we'll work on that for February 20th, and we'll what page? 20. We'll work on the menu. All right. Chief's report. Chief Burkhardt. What we got?
Sent out to you guys a driver training request for Jeff Piro and Emily Fury.
Piro and Fury. Okay. Got them in front of me. Didn't look like there was anything in their abstract we needed to be concerned with.
So just to advise you, I did receive a response from the county in regards to the sewage treatment plant. They are going to get back to us about, they're currently in the process of looking over what they need to do down there. So they're going to keep us in the loop of what's going on down there for.
I commend you. That was a pretty extensive list. You did a real good job of writing everything down. They're probably a little sticker shock at what it might cost them to fix all that stuff.
Yeah, and that was just us looking through there for 2 hours. So
Yeah. The county has a code enforcement officer. I can't tell you the last time. I know I'd only be guessing to tell you the last time the code enforcement went through there with a real fine tooth comb. You know, he or she may have been through there, but not to the degree of scrutiny that you put through. So I appreciate that.
So put in for drill purchase for you guys, so to replace the one on the rescue truck. So that'll be under your purchasing. Also, you guys have also seen the LED scene light issue with Rescue 9. We need 2 of them replaced. Those are $2,500 a pop. So we're gonna have whoever's Charlie Vanderbilt pull those apart and see what's happening, why those lights have failed the way they did. They're only 3 or 4 years old, so they shouldn't be doing that. So gotta see if it's the truck doing random electrical surges or if we just got a bad batch of lights, so.
Okay. And they'll be able to determine that, you think?
I don't honestly know, but might as well
Try.
and see. Class B foam, we ended up, when I first became chief in 2020, putting in disposal for that. It's been just sitting in a pile. We've been kind of waiting for a federal grant or something to come along just to get rid of it, but now it's just kind of sitting there for the past 3 years, and we should really start doing something with that pile since nothing's really cropped up. So I don't know how the district would want to go about disposing that.
We're gonna have to look at that in some kind of long-range plan. I was at the meeting when the county hazmat coordinator essentially told fire departments that if we use foam for anything other than a commercial airline crash, this is A foam, B foam. He even listed the like that F500 stuff. Any of that stuff. He says, if you use that in anything other than commercial airline crash or an absolute life-threatening, life and death situation, then the fire department, according to DEC, that's who the fire, that DEC is going to go after the fire department to be responsible for the remediation, right? The environmental remediation. And they talked about the parts. You know, we normally talk about like hazmat stuff in terms of parts per billion, parts per million, or parts per billion. They were talking about it parts per quadrillion or something like that, which are like, you know, the head of a pin in space kind of thing. If it gets in the groundwater, it's a bad thing, and the fire department's going to be responsible for it. So essentially, the words come down: no more foam. The foam trailers that the county has, the state has, they're all going to be going away, I'm told. One of the fire departments that was at the representative at that meeting listed a cost. They've got a cost to get rid of 90 gallons of foam for like $3,800. 90 gallons. First thing we're going to have to do is get an inventory of what we got.
We have 250 gallons of just Class B foam.
You got 250?
Okay, Sean.
Of course, Sean.
That's just here.
And that's here, and we don't know what's over one. So,
I'm gonna put it here on there.
you know, I mean, to both departments' credit, we've accumulated and grabbed foam every chance we could because it's so expensive to buy. And now we've got these stockpiles of foam that are going to be expensive to get rid of. And I don't think it's the kind of thing that we're going to be able to put back in a pickup truck and take it down over the river and dump it in the ditch. I just don't think we're going to be able to get away with that. You know, 40 years ago, we might have gotten away with something. 40 years ago, we might have gotten away with something like that. But, you know, this is going to be an expensive proposition. And then, what do we, you know, we got apparatus that's got foam adductors, foam nozzles. If we got a couple pieces that got built-in foam systems, are we going to abandon them? Are we going to disconnect them so we don't have to maintain them anymore? Are we going, you know, what is going to come out somewhere in the future to replace foam? You know, there's going to have to be something. How is that going to be made? Are we going to be able to use some of the old equipment? There's a whole list of issues that are going to, this is going to roll into it. So, you know, obviously I don't have any answers for that right now. I don't think anybody does. This is not going to be an easy one. So I think the first thing would be to do is sometime after the first of the year, if we get the chiefs to at least give us some inventory of what we got in stock. Where do we got in stock? Where are we looking at? And is it all off the apparatus at this point?
No.
I would, based on what I heard, I would take most of it off. I don't think I'd take it all off. You might have that life. You take it all off, then we're gonna have that life and death emergency. You really need it for.
Yeah, we don't have a big amount. It's probably like 1 or 2 5-gallon pails that are on the truck. So it's nothing. But the main majority of 250 gallons that we have is just sitting in the storage, you know, just collecting dust. We've been trying to wait. I've been contacting Ray Davis, or Brandon's been contacting Ray Davis also the past couple of years just to see if there's any federal grant or anything coming out. He just said, no, just keep your eyes open. But
well, like company over Coles was burning it, but now they got grabbed for environmental issues, and I don't think they're going to be doing that anymore. I think that's beyond the scope of what they do now. Yeah, I mean, at that meeting, everybody expected, a lot of people expected that the big hammer that night was gonna be the changes to the training system. The way we do state training in the county. And that's why the instructors were invited to be there. That's why I was there. And instead, the only thing that anybody was really talking about was, holy crap, what are we gonna do about all this foam? So, worth discussion. So we gotta start with inventory. We gotta know what we're talking about, start, and then we can generate some numbers and, maybe contact contact Congressman Tom and say, hey, what can you do? Or, contact somebody else. What can you do? We're not gonna be the only ones, but it's good to be first in line if there's gonna be others. So we get something off the hand quick, that might be beneficial. What else you got, Ben?
Yeah, just wanted to put that on your radar there.
Thank you.
So, we're having the Chiefs Grill on next week, Tuesday, on the 20th. So the commissioners and Lionsville Chiefs are invited. I know Lionsville's having their Chiefs Grill also that night. So if you want to bounce between stations, feel free to come over.
Depends what the menu is. Isn't that what he said? Isn't that what he said a little while ago? Anything else, Chief?
Was just going to inquire about the positive pressure fan that I put in for a couple months ago. I know you guys were working on it.
We've got a list of equipment that I believe we're still looking at. And if you just heard the budget report,
yeah,
it's how many pennies are left in the jar at the end of the year? It's going to be
We're gonna get that Troy check. We might be able to get this $149 purchase done with the Troy check.
Oh.
Still looking.
okay. And that's the end of my report.
well. I'm kind of surprised for those that aren't aware. Chief Burkhardt chose not to run this year, and I'd like to thank him for the years that he put in as chief operational. I've been on the board for many of those years, most all those years, I guess. All those years that you've been reporting, you've been accurate, timely information, good information, solid reports. And I'd like to thank you for that and the effort that you put forward as a leader in this fire district. So thank you. I just wish that SOB of boss years that would be more times. I'm like teasing.
He just gave me a mandate this morning.
There you go. There you go. Chief Phil, what do you got for my stuff?
Okay, so you should have our stats. I know it was a little delayed, but tried to get that in. You should have the accident review board that was due. So we got that regarding 427. It's all taken care of. On December 10th, we had a group go out for the celebration of life at the Durivage Firehouse regarding past Captain Tom Briston. So that was nice. And on the 20th, we will also be having our Chiefs Grill over at Lionsville. It's going to be a barbecue menu for those that enjoy barbecue. Also on the 20th, we're going to have the BPO graduation for a few members of the district. So we'll knock that out and celebrate with a good meal.
That's on the 20th also?
That's on the 20th.
Where's that being held?
It's a good question. Good question.
Because I know the class has been here.
We're trying to get it over to the new training tower, but that was their promise that they were.
The elevator parts are in Belgium or something. No, I heard the elevator parts have actually arrived.
Far in Hudson Valley.
It's a matter of how long it's going to take to unpack them, uncrate them, inventory, and get them installed, all that stuff. So that's the only thing I'm told that's holding up that certificate of occupancy for them or something.
Yeah, that's let's see. For expenses this month, some minor stuff. We had to replenish our decon detergent for the gear and our SCBA mass cleaner. Today, we also had Sherman Air come out once again for the Cascade compressor. That just seems that we're just chasing old O-rings, just basically the issue. So hopefully we're got them all replaced at this point. But minor stuff. Today, Lionsville Car 3, the 2013 Tahoe got dropped off over at Bearcom for the light bar issue. Apparently the light bar doesn't work, but everything else does. So that's gonna be over there, get that addressed. And then that brings me into truck 4-2. As the commissioners know, truck 4-2 was supposed to go out today to Vandermolen to finally get the repairs done. I took a phone call at 7:43 this morning from Mr. Bonesteel explaining that that wasn't going to happen.
Did he give you a reason? I saw that, I saw your text, I was like, what the hell?
Personnel problems.
Not enough staff?
It takes 2 people to do the job, and they're not gonna have 2 people because of holiday vacations. So now we're looking at January 3rd as the next date that the truck would go. So I hurried and made the notifications not only to the board, but our mutual aid chiefs, the county public safety, so on and so forth, all the players involved, that maybe January 3rd will be the next truck out of service. So I don't know, Mr. Kerwin, if that affects you with that $27,000 bill, but that would not be coming this month, so you're aware.
Love you. I'm still looking at for this year though, yeah.
We still gonna have to pay it.
Yeah. So, other than that, we're in pretty much good shape to close out the year, so.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for either chief? None? So it looks like the only purchases of chiefs that we have to approve is the purchase for this $149 for a drill and impact driver with a bag, with 2 batteries for the free slope. And a little background on that is that we had said no more new equipment purchases. And this, at face value, it appears to be a equipment purchase. But the drill, they have a drill that need a new battery, right? The drill is 14 years old. The battery for it, because it's a 14-year-old drill, would cost $129. Best price we could find anywhere. We were able to find a new drill and impact driver with 2 batteries and the bag that they come in for $149. So for $20 extra, we're getting 2 new tools, 2 new batteries. So it's a no-brainer when you think about it. I just want people to realize we're not going out and just buying tools. So, questions on that? Motion to approve or resolution to approve? I'll make the resolution. Chris seconds it. Any discussion on the resolution? Roll call vote, please.
Chris. Aye. Brian.
Aye.
Rich. Nick.
Aye.
I'll sign that afterwards. Sign file. That's over here.
Yeah, the approval of the driver training.
Yeah, I already put that over there. So, we got driver training applications for Emily Perry, who's just completed her probation. The first still in Jeff Perry, who's been around for a lot longer than that. He finally put in as a driver. 2 new drivers, their abstracts looked unremarkable. So I'll make a motion to approve. Motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
2 new drivers. Well, 2 new driver trainees. I'll sign them in. We don't need to take any formal action on that accident review board. We don't have to prove it or anything. Look pretty thorough. All right, thank you. Apparatus and equipment. Myself and Chris, what we took care of the utility. That was the big thing on the ticket item. I do have a question on some. I'll get with you, William, afterwards. If you could remind me. I have a question that I keep saying every time I see something. Say, hey, it's William about that. It's quite a quick question. So we'll cover that. Any questions for us on that? Building and grounds, Ryan, Chris.
I was just took care of the warehouses.
Already covered the contracts. Just recently had a work detail there. Some work was done on the dumpster, the gates outside the dumpster. Remember, raised it. What was happening in the winter, ice would build up along the bottom. When the company came to do the dumpsters,
They couldn't open it.
right? So members could do that. Did some basic cleanup around the station. Clean up the shed out back. We do have to get a couple at some point shelving units for upstairs for more district records.
Chris. District Clerk.
Imagine Bob, but on that, I know, Bob, you have a note here, my apologies for not knowing what was wrong with the flagpole repair, but you were working with Betty and Fring on the flagpole.
Yep, I think they're gonna take care of it for us. I don't think it's anything that that was done incorrectly. There's sand around the metal pole and it's encased in concrete and there's wedges on the top that go in the sand, and that's what actually holds the pole so that it doesn't shift. So the concrete won't move. They want it to move in the sand so that if you have to adjust it, you go in and you hit the
So it's not as
wedges.
bad as we were speculating.
It's not. But Rick is going to get over here with one of the supers of one of the jobs, and I think they're going to take care of it. And if they don't take care of it for us, I think we'll be able to fix it. But I think they're going to fix it. So we'll give them a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
anybody that doesn't know what's going on, they've got an eagle eye, you go out there and look at the flagpole in daylight, you'll notice that it's got a little bit of a leaning tower piece of effect. It's just a little bit off. Plumb.
Well, that's how you don't put those big poles in concrete. They want to have a little bit of play. Otherwise, if it bends, then it's done.
Learn something every day.
Yep.
Anything else on building and ground? Anybody? No? No, move on.
Can I go back to building 1 second?
Sure.
When I just met with Ed outside, he gave me 2 potential dates that is on his calendar that would be clear for him in January. The 3rd or the 4th, which is a Tuesday or a Wednesday. The Wednesday is all day, the Tuesday is in the afternoon. So I don't know who you guys might want to send to that meeting, but if,
I'm tied up at that 5/400 class here those 2 days, but you don't need to be there.
whoever you might want to, have.
I could probably take the day off.
Well, we don't have to, because I mean, if you do the Thursday, if you do the Wednesday, you can do it in the afternoon at some point. Nick, but you're better off after 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be down in Wyndham most likely, so
All right.
Would you be?
I could be available.
Oh, you can be available? All right. Go ahead and set it.
So we'll look at the Wednesday the 4th after 3 o'clock time or something like that.
Actually, I may be free by then, but that'd be good. And if, plan on Nick being there, and if you get freed up, that's great.
Okay.
Send it.
So I'll start sending that around and then,
Socialize that, make sure everybody's good with it.
but like we said, we want to get that before your meeting, which is the following week, I think. Because the Mondays are really quick this on January.
Make a note of that in my notes here. Okay.
And I don't know, Terry, if you're available of that, if you want to be there, or if you have to be. I'm not sure if you want to be there or not. You might not have to be, but I just put it up there first. Thank you.
Nothing else? District personnel. Brian, anything? Nope.
Thank you for hiring Bob.
I won't say anything.
Go ahead.
What do you? Finance, insurance, and water.
Hey, what do you mean by that? I have a few things.
I'm sure you do.
Don't forget to vote tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Bob has offered to administer the oath to the Board of Electors here. I'm going to administer it at WFD.
Which I think it was for.
Yeah. It's not on the list, but you guys already passed the resolution to pay those individuals $70, so it wasn't on the manifest. But I just want you to know we're paying 9 of them $70. So, but it was already approved in the
So
resolution.
you're going to do it December money, you're not going to wait till January.
Right, yeah, I do it. Okay, and then the only other thing was scheduling the organizational meeting. I think we're actually kind of lucky that the second Monday is January 9th. I think we'd be okay to do it then. But you know how sometimes we schedule it earlier,
Yeah.
but I think we'll be all right with it being on the 9th. So maybe we schedule it at 6:30.
Are we good with going early? Okay. All right, let's do it at 6:30. Anything else? Sean?
Can somebody motion that for me?
Need a motion on it? Right, yeah, I'll make a motion. 6:30. Nick?
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? 6:30. Like we talked about. Long-range planning, do we need to read this committee off anymore? I think the report has been submitted and accepted. Yeah, actually, there is a component of it that's supposed to stay alive with the apparatus long-range plan, so we're gonna go back to the chiefs after the first of the year and say, all right, who is it you're putting up on this committee? Let's get this, let's get the, make sure the names haven't changed, and then we'll move forward with some meetings of those folks.
I also going to update the Excel spreadsheet with the, you know, for the next 30 years. I think I have it out there. And I'll update it for the new dollar amounts we got for the WFP upgrade.
All right, so we'll keep that active then. That's not bad. At least keep it on the back of our heads, looking forward. Policies, procedures, memberships. Brian and Nick?
Just chiefs, we got, you know, any feedback? I know this is the first election with the district officer policy and everything there. If there's any issues, concerns, tweaks you think might have to be made, you know, we're trying to make sure that you guys can fill company officer roles. You know, it's kind of, if you see any modifications that may be needed, you know, I work on that this year. Any feedback's appreciated, positive and negative.
Can I bring in on something?
Sure.
Brian and I were talking about earlier, Friday afternoon, Friday night, legislation got signed that allows local governments to give 10% discount to assessed valuation of firefighters, volunteer firefighters. Cool. And it becomes it's basically a vesting type thing, kind of like LoSAP. But after 20 years, it's a lifetime thing that could be extended to the surviving spouse of the firefighter as well. So it's the first time that it's ever been done on a kind of a statewide basis for local government. So local government, its own volition. You have to have a public hearing, but most importantly for those of us in New York State, school districts. So I've actually reached out over the weekend to the administrator of my school district, like, how are we going to do this? You know, which is nice to sit next to me in the rig. And what he suggested, and I think it's a great, something I think you want to hit the ground running with this, is you want your members either set up an email address and have them email you a tax bill that has their assessment on it, or the information you need, which is basically an address, a tax ID number, and the assessed valuation. So that way someone can compile that information and basically figure out what 10%. I think it's a good job for Sean. Good job. Dropped it on you like Michael Carter running with the football.
I'm going to start that.
So if you can amass that information, it's going to be easier for you to go to the school district and say, look, we would like you to pass this. This is what the net effect is going to be. It's going to be X number of dollars. And really, they're not losing the dollars, just reallocating it. But until you can reasonably tell,
Quantify it.
yes,
You're able to quantify it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, the 10% off of everybody, it's going to be different school tax versus.
Did the state legislation establish criteria as to what is considered? I mean, is a knife and fork member considered an active member?
Well, that's a little bit fuzzier, but that's for the jurisdiction to decide and to come up with that's to basically the department and the local government to decide what you need. And there's criteria as to what residence costs. It's got to be a primary residence. It's got to be in the district. It's got, you have to be a firefighter in the district. You know, like the Jim Minor thing wouldn't work because that wasn't a firefighter in the district, you know, so. But I think it's something that's probably worth, and this is why I didn't know when to bring it. It's probably worth putting somebody on who can be like a dog on a pant leg, because I think you're gonna want to get this stuff done and out. Assessment roll is gonna close March 1st. I think you're gonna want to do this sooner rather than later. You've already missed the window for county town taxes in 2023, but I think you want to try and catch the June or the July 1 school tax. And I think you want to get off, you got the spring essentially to get in, to get to the school boards, tell them what it's going to cost, convince them that they ought to do it and make your case. But you're going to have to show them dollars and cents, based upon your current rosters and based upon real data, what it's going to be, because that amount of the levy isn't just going to go away. It's going to be spread out. Yeah, and you're going to want to be able to show that it's 4 cents to everybody else, or whatever the number comes out. You're going to need that data. There's no mechanism in the law for any, basically how to collect that. So it's going to be really, the initiative is going to have to be on the department of the district to do that.
And if it's done by school district and not fire district, then it's theoretical that say we were to get the Havel Park School District, some of the members of both Wine and Skill and DeFreesville would probably be able to get that break, but others wouldn't, because they don't live in the Havel Park School District. We have at least 3 different school districts, 4 different school districts that protect this town. And then I look at the East Creamer School District, that's covered by probably 8 different fire districts. When you look at the size of the East Creamer School District, the geographic area it takes, all the way up to the village of Nassau.
And that may be, depending upon, it may be good that there's only a finite number of your people in a given school district. It might make it easier for them. So the fact you have multiple school districts might not be a bad thing. Okay. But you've got to have the data compiled. And again, someone with the, your property values have gone up, obviously. It's 10% off your assessment is some serious money.
Most homeowners will say that their biggest tax bill is the biggest property tax bill is the schools.
And I think also what's going to happen is if you go to the schools, you have to consider whether it's a good or bad thing if the fire district has already done it. Say, hey, look, this is part of it.
Oh, do it for ourselves and then, okay.
So, but these are this came down Friday night at like 6:45. So all very new, but I think this is something you want to be out in front of.
Do you anticipate any enabling guidelines or anything else coming out as okay, this passed the law. Now this is how we want to administer. Anticipate it?
Yeah, there's supposed to be something, but a lot of what the local government's going to require and what the fire department, fire district approves the certification are all kind of left up to the 2 entities.
So I know there was that huge mating dance when they first released the STAR project, and like, what's it really mean? How do we make it work? And towns were starting to do it differently, and it got ugly. And then the state finally has, okay, here's some more guidelines. Here's some more guidelines.
Yeah.
Until they got everybody on the same pathway with it.
I think that there's been a rollout of this in various counties, but it's never been all the way down to the local district level. So I think what you want to do is, whether guidelines come out or not, I think you want to be one of the first in line with the data and say, this is what it will cost, and for the North Greenbush Fire District if these 4 school districts. So, it's going to take some more work with multiple school districts, but I think, I think it's one of it might maybe better than most stuff. It might be a real attention getter for people that own property, or at least it only applies to the principal residents, but it's a serious immediate benefit. But I don't think you want to let 2023 slip by without making the attempt with the school, and I think you need to do that, before they have their budget voted. You're gonna have to roll this out in pretty short order. if you want to get it, if you want to catch the 2023.
Incredibly time consuming thing to gather up all that information.
Well, it is unless you get the buy-in from the membership. And like I said, my thought was set up, it's a separate Gmail account where everybody, you know, you have a roster, everybody can email a copy of their tax bill, you know, with their.
I think we want to, this might be something that we discussed at that February meeting. This might be, I think we want to know what the guidelines are. So if somebody raised their hand and said, hey, you know, I was an active firefighter 20 years ago. But you know, I don't do as much as I used to, right? I come to every company meeting. Does that count?
If you, I said, if you read the statute, you get to set the criteria for what a member good standing is.
So we have to do that. But you sent us something right before the meeting.
I just sent you the legislation and
I saw the email. I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Yeah, but that's, but you know, the fact that once you got 20 years in, you're good. And the fact that your surviving spouse and her new husband can take advantage, no, it's unmarried.
All right. Any questions for Terry on that? Anybody? Oh, pretty good. Interesting. All right, close out. Nick, Ryan,
Coming up.
coming up.
Coming up.
It's all about low side. Come on. On that? Business operations and technology. Dan and Nick.
Something I have was about this on that.
Any issue, Bob, how's the integration with
We're really making some good progress.
progress?
Yeah.
Development plan review. Ryan and Nick.
It's been pretty quiet. They did the parking lot down where that Chick-fil-A and that's going to go in. The only thing I did give Chief Burkhardt some plans for a smaller storage type facility down in Valley View, about 18,000 square feet. Some box goods.
Anything else? Paramedic operations. Chris, you got anything? We'll reopen the public session. Anybody wishing to speak with regard to any matter at this point? Just a gentleman. Anyone? Yes, sir.
The only thing I have is I was reached out from Chief Hepburn from West Sand Lake. They're looking for a loan of a 2-ply 24-foot extension ladder. If anyone knows of the department that may have one, they can loan. Apparently theirs was damaged at a recent alarm, and a replacement is a significant delay. So he reached out to see if North Greenbush had one. I explained that we do not, but if anyone happens to know whether the 2-ply 24-foot, we appreciate to be able to borrow it.
I'm not aware of any being around anywhere, but I'll keep my eye out. I'll see if I'm wrong or not. Anything else? I'm going to ask that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue, and I would ask Chief Burkhardt to.
My last one.
The employment issue for a particular person?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Do you want me to shut this down, Rich?
Yes, please.
First, it's
Oh, okay. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.